Let the record reflect, we have reconvened with all members present. We do have Councilwoman Rachel Ehrlich is absent excused as she travels back from the path of totality of the eclipse, and Councilman Bob Landergan is recovering from knee surgery, so we wish him the best on his recovery. I ask for those who are able to please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, and please remain standing after the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we take a moment to remember a long-time Madison resident we lost over the last few weeks. Jesse Caccaro, lifelong Madison resident, passed away on March 28th at the age of 100.5, as pointed out. She died peacefully at her home with her daughter at her side. She is survived by her daughter Barbara, Lauren Bart, 6 nieces and nephews, and numerous great nieces and nephews. She was predeceased by her husband of 72 years, her husband Francis. She was born on July 13, 1923, to Philomena and Stanley Bolsey, and was a Madison resident for her entire life. Raised on Central Avenue with her brother Michael, and resided at 2 other homes on Central with her family throughout her life. Graduate of St. Vincent Martyr School and Madison High School, and after graduating high school during the height of World War II, she worked at Steva Pharmaceutical Company in Summit, and her brother Mike formed a friendship with his schoolmate Francis, who introduced him to his sister. And Jesse and Francis were married in January 1948 and welcomed her daughter into the family. And around 1963, she began a new career as Secretary of Admissions Office at Fairleigh Dickinson, and she worked there for 15 years before retiring in 1980. Lifelong parishioner of St. Vincent's, attending daily masses until she could no longer drive herself. She expressed her love and admiration for family and friends for her cooking and baking. She never let anyone who visited her home go unfed. Holidays were always most memorable with her cooking and warm hospitality. So let us take a moment to remember Jessica Caccaro, and let us pass our thoughts on to her family and friends that she leaves behind. Thank you very much. We have no minutes for approval. Wait a minute, I've got the wrong glasses on. Hold on a second. Much better. Sorry. Always got to be prepared. Anyway, here we are after a weekend of being sandwiched between an earthquake and an eclipse. And on the former, I want to thank all the borough employees who quickly inspected substations, pump stations, buildings, and other infrastructure to ensure that all was well, which it was. And for the eclipse, the clouds cooperated for the most part and given us quite a show through our glasses. And the only thing missing between these events was a winning Powerball ticket being sold in Madison, but can't have everything. Allergies. On March 28th, I presented Marion Gerard a proclamation in honor of her 105th birthday. She was born in Sicily in 1919 and is now a resident of Sunrise. And she was all dressed in her favorite color, blue. And as I was about to leave, she wanted to make sure that she got to keep the proclamation, which she has hanging proudly in her room. And then on Saturday the 30th, the Madison Chamber of Commerce held the rescheduled Easter Fest, which after the deluge of rain on the original schedule March 23rd. And to reinforce the importance of these events for our downtown, I was with the chamber members as they were calling the winners of the Fine Shelley and Jelly Bean contest. And all but one of the winners' families were still in downtown Madison. So pulls them into town, and they were in the hour waiting to see if they won or not, they were shopping. So this is another great example of what makes our town so great. And the employee for the month of April is Bob Duffy, Executive Assistant to the Public Works Director. While the Director is on extended sick leave, Bob kept the department running smoothly. This included managing staff, including during a snowstorm, attending various meetings, addressing daily resident concerns as they arose. And now I'm going to come down below for 2 items.
Can I have Rob Dunn come up here, please? And family? And part of the family that's not here is I want to recognize Rob's father, mother, Mayor Jack Dunn, front row. Roberta, thank you for joining us tonight. It's a very special night. Want to have holy. Left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Rob Dunn,
Solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially, and justly perform all the duties of fire captain according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
I further solemnly swear
I further solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance
and I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the same
and
and to the governments
to the governments
established in the United States
established in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
so help me God.
so help me God.
And I think we have a girls' basketball team out in the hallway. Come on in. Right on up here. And obviously, we'd like to celebrate our great successes in Madison. So tonight we have a great one to recognize, a great time of year as we're in April winding up March Madness after a great final yesterday. And Madison, you did us proud. Undefeated in conference, 10-0. 5 of the 13 players on the roster were recognized as all-conference players. For the second time in 3 years, the team won the Group 2 sectional final. They defeated Secaucus and got to have a police escort coming back into Madison. And then for the first time in program's history, the team advanced to the Group 2 state finals at Rutgers University. Unfortunately, ran into a very strong Manasquan team and lost in a hard-fought final. So congratulations for making Madison so proud and having a great run. So we have a certificate of recognition. Coach Lisa, I'll let you say a few words after we're done if you want. Coach Mark. Coach Jess. Trainer Mike. And now we get to the real crew. Bo Bitterman. Congratulations. And let me just, before I present this next one, read this off. This is being presented to each of the members of the team as a member of the Madison High School girls varsity basketball team for winning the NJSIAA North 2 Group 2 Championship and the NJAC Liberty Conference Championship. Catherine Finnegan. Ashley Driscoll. Not here. Gabby Mariani. Thank you, Gabby. Charlotte Toohey. Devin Johnson. Mallory Bannon. Kate Regal. Not here. Gianna Opperman. Not here. Samantha Nielsen. Not here. Still watching the clips. Sienna Notaro. Not here. Cameron Fishes. Not here. Cecilia Stewart. There we go. Thank you very much. Coach, would you like to...
On behalf of our team, we just also would like to thank the town of Madison for really supporting us so much through the run. I can't explain how wonderful it felt to be down at Rutgers and to look out into the stands and see that many members of Madison supporting us, whether it was out when we were the championship or the state sectionals and caucus, when we went to Bloomfield to win the North Championship. There was such a crowd in those away games that came to support us, and it means so much to us to have the town behind us through that run. I encourage everyone to support us during the regular season as well. This is a fantastic basketball season. We graduate some wonderful seniors, two of which are standing right here. But a lot of these girls are returning next year, and we're looking to make the same strong run. And we would love for you guys to come out and support us just the same as it meant so much to us to have the town behind us, especially all the young girls that came out to watch us play, and young boys as well. Like to have the youth player support us, but the whole community really meant a lot to us, so we thank you very much and appreciate your support.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you. Best of luck. We'll say thanks for doing Madison so proud.
We'll start the reports in just a second. Thank you all for coming out to support Captain Rob. Also want to welcome, we've got some students from the Drew University journalism class, so welcome, thanks for joining us today. And we now move on to reports from committees. Public Safety, Council President Range.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Police Department tonight, the speed limit signage on Kings Road has officially been changed last week from 35 miles an hour to 25 miles an hour after the council adjusted the speed limit last winter. Additionally, one digital radar sign was also installed this past week to assist with speed enforcement. During the next several weeks, residents will see heavy speed enforcement in the area of Kings Road, where officers will be educating motorists on the new speed limit change. Please slow down and adhere to the new 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. On March 26th, Chief Misha met with members of the Madison High School staff to discuss intern programs for students who have an interest in law enforcement. Chief Misha hopes to have one or two Madison High School students intern with the police department this upcoming school year. And on March 27th, Chief Misha and Captain Longo attended a community connections meeting with members of other county police agencies and members of the prosecutor's office. The topic was the new Arrive program and how it has been an immediate assistance to our officers in Madison and those residents who are in need. We'll continue to keep everyone abreast of this program as we move forward. And from the fire department tonight, so far this month, in March, we responded to 23 general alarms, 12 still alarms, 32 investigations, and 90 medical calls for a total of 157 calls. Happy to report tonight that the fire department's full-time EMS program is officially kicking off. The fire department passed state requirements in both documentation and the field inspection and should be issued the New Jersey State Department of Health EMS provider license number tomorrow. The fire department has also officially started their per diem EMTs, who are an important staffing component to supplement our full-time firefighter EMTs and members of the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Squad. The first shift for the per diems was this past Saturday night, and in fact, they are staffing an ambulance right now. Well, they were just in this room, but now they're staffing an ambulance right now. So that means that we now have a dedicated local ambulance scheduled around the clock in Madison, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. And that's the fruition of nearly a year of planning and coordination between the Madison Fire Department, the Borough Administration, and the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Corps. It has been a high priority to get this job done, and Chief Wickman would like to thank all the mutual aid partners as we've made this transition. The support of the Madison Volunteer Ambulance Squad, Borough Administration, police, and OEM leadership has also been greatly appreciated. A special thank you to the firefighters and Chief Martin of the Cedar Knolls Fire Department for providing guidance in best practices. Also, a big thank you to Jeff Hall from the Morris County Office of Emergency Management. Jeff and his staff have done a great job helping provide EMS coverage throughout the borough over the last few years. The help of these two agencies cannot be overstated. And on a personal note, I'd like to extend my personal congratulations to Chief Wickman, who took on this project shortly after he became chief and made it his own. Without his leadership, we wouldn't be here today. And this has been a huge undertaking for him, so really appreciate all the work he's put into this. On April 1st, at 5:14, the Millburn Fire Department requested the fire department to 150 JFK Parkway for a reported fire in a large office building. Madison's rapid intervention team responded to assist, and a fire in an elevator shaft was found. Madison firefighters assisted with removing smoke from the building. And as the mayor noted, after the earthquake on Friday, the fire department did target inspections on buildings deemed more susceptible to damage from earthquakes, but found no damage through this point. That's all from public safety, but I do have an update from finance as well. So from the finance department, this Friday, the borough is paying $175,362.50 in bond proceeds. This represents the interest portion of the borough debt that covered the construction of the public safety building, renovations to Hartley Dodge, and the purchase of a fire truck. The second annual payment for this bond is on October 15th of this year. That amount is $1,645,362.50, which covers the principal and interest payments. These bonds were originally issued in 2008 and then refinanced in 2014. We have another 4 years of payments, and then this bond will be completely paid off as of 2028. Second tonight, special thanks to the Finance Department, Tax Department, and Personnel Department for their work in completing the user-friendly budget document. This is statutorily required document that must be filed with the official state budget. It is also available on the annual budget process page on RoseNet. And finally tonight, as a reminder, our next council meeting on April 22nd, the council will hold our hearing for the municipal budget. The official state budget document is available for public viewing on RoseNet, and hard copies are available in the clerk's office and at the library. That's all tonight. Thank you, Mayor.
There we go. I was off.
No, unless they didn't cover me. Getting older, sad. Okay, so, thanks, Mayor, Council, welcome, community. From the electric utility, the electric department has been working on pole transfers at 28 Walnut Street for upgrading to the new development. This is the new affordable housing project. On the 25th, the electric utility crew responded to flickering light calls at 25 Delwood Road. Crews have been working on tool repairs and maintenance on their equipment. Crews have been removing large branches off main lines due to storm conditions. We've had pretty stormy last 2 months, so kudos to all the work they had to do. The department continues their routine streetlight repairs, markouts, service hookups, disconnects, and daily substation inspections. Now the line clearance inspections has started for this year's tree line clearance for any encroachments of trees and branches on poles and lines. And on Friday the 5th, the crews assisted the contractor at 14 Lincoln Place, the new development, with wiring and relocating of the borough's lampposts. From the water utility, normal maintenance and operations continue throughout town. No interruptions in service. Generators at the wall stations have been tested and are all running under load and efficiency. Meter replacement and new installation continues for the contractors, National Metering Services. More to come on that. WellBe has finally started the metering pit installation, so we're making progress there. Tie-in to our water system has been completed on Community Place and Walnut Street for the new housing development project. And a new hydrant has also been installed on Community Place. Mayor, can I give a 2-minute update on my Recreation Activity Committee meeting?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so we had a Recreation Activity Committee meeting 2 weeks ago. I'm happy to report that all of the sports are being managed very well by the volunteers who are the president of each club. This year we will have a parade coming up on Saturday. The Little League Parade will be going Kings Road to Main Street to Dodge.
Yep.
The mayor's going to be participating. I don't know if you're throwing out the first pitch, but I know you were a baseball player back in the day.
So it was a previous life.
We'll have to test you on. That's at 11:15. So it's always a nice event watching all these ball players, boys and girls, march down the middle of town. This year we will have in the spring boys Little League, girls softball, boys and girls lacrosse, spring soccer, and spring track. Approximately 1,200 young athletes in town participating in their spring sports. And the borough does a great job supporting them, and they love being part of their Madison teams. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you very much. And Community Affairs, Ms. Honahan.
Thank you, Mayor. From the Downtown Development Commission, the Downtown Development Commission's next regular meeting will be held on Thursday, April 18th at 7:15 on the second floor of Hartley Dodge. The Madison Farm and Artisan Market will be held on Saturdays from May 25th through December 14th in the Prospect Street parking lot from 10 till 3. Musicians have been booked to play every week, and local nonprofit organizations have been invited to participate. The Downtown Development Commission is also hosting the Green and Clean, which used to be called May Day. It will incorporate a townwide beautification day on Saturday, April 27th from 9 to 2 and will be kicked off with the annual Arbor Day celebration. You can look for more information on sponsorship, donation, and volunteering on RoseNet. From the Chamber of Commerce, Ladies' Night is scheduled for Thursday, May 9th, and the fire extinguisher inspections will take place on Tuesday, June 4th from 11:30 to 3:30. Madison Community Arts Center, the Roseum Gallery has a new show up and running entitled Under the Open Sky. It features 74 works by 26 members of the New Jersey Plein Air Painters. Gallery hours vary, and you can find the hours on the Art Center website. The Summit Film Society will be showing Indigo Girls, It's Only Life After All on Saturday, April 13th. This weekend, you can get tickets on the Film Society of Summit website. The Art Center is also pleased to announce the Rose Pavilion Outdoor Summer Concert Series, which will begin on the 28th and have multiple bands throughout the summer. I have two other small announcements. One is just a notice that the Madison Rotary Club is sponsoring its first repair cafe on June 15th from 11 to 3 at the Ambulance Corps, and volunteers will work with people from the community to fix items they don't want to discard, keeping things out of the landfill. So volunteers are being sought, as well as people to bring their old things that need to be fixed. And Open Space met and elected Brian Monahan as chair for this year.
Excellent. Very much. And Health and Public Works and Engineering.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to start with Public Works and Engineering. From Public Works and Engineering, with all the heavy rains last week, the sewer department was quite busy. It was fortuitous that a few years ago the borough undertook a large capital improvement at the North Street Sewer Pump Station, and one of those items was larger pumps that had more flow, which was good. So with last week's heavy rain, we saw little or no problem. The department is working on milling and paving of the streets and will be upgrading the storm inlets to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection requirements. All downtown benches are out and Madison is starting to bloom. The department's working on the plantings of trees around town. This will occur in the coming weeks. If anyone in town would like a tree, please contact Public Works to be put on the list. Public Works has also hooked up the charging station for the new electric lawnmower. And if anyone wants to see that, you'll see it in action as the grass grows. Okay, so current projects from the engineering department. With regard to the Well B facility improvements contract with VNL LLC, construction is progressing. It's on schedule for May restart to meet summer demand. Other improvements to the building will be completed in the summer. Mott McDonald and JAM Architects are reviewing submittals and progress payments. With regard to the utility building roof contract with Joseph Doherty Company, construction commenced March 22nd with good progress. Helena Ruman Architects will be reviewing submittals and progress payments. With regard to the MRC multi-purpose courts, otherwise known as the pickleball courts, work has been completed and erosion along the path has been addressed by the Borough DPW. With regard to Memorial Park Trails Phase 1 project, it's completed with reimbursement from the county to be submitted. A grant application for Phase 3 has been submitted and approved by Morris County, and scheduling to be coordinated with hazardous tree removal around that. With regard to the library, there's an interior contract with Daskell LLC, and the library staff has relocated to a temporary trailer. Work is progressing well with approximately 85% complete now. With regard to the Museum of Early Trades and Crafts, there is the construction started in November of 2022 with Historic Building Architects reviewing submittals and invoicing, and the project is nearing completion. There's some upcoming projects. Mill and overlay for 2024. That's roads to be done are Knollwood, Longview, and Valley Road with construction in the summer. Preliminary work will include curb reconstruction where necessary and replacement of older non-compliant catch basin grates and head pieces is required. The Cook Avenue parking lot plans have been revised to reduce the scope and cost, and there have been some bids received, and there'll be some updates on that relatively soon. The Dodge Field Playground grant application has been submitted to Green Acres program. The grant would cover 75% of construction costs. We're waiting on an announcement from the county. Construction is now scheduled to commence in early July, and it should be approximately a 3-month construction time. With regard to the MRC solar carport, plans and specifications have been completed by consultants. No bids were submitted on March 28th. Project plans and specifications will be reviewed to see if there are any changes which could make for rebidding and to get contractors to submit the bids. From the Health Department, the Madison Health Department, in conjunction with the Morris Regional Health Partnership and the College of New Jersey, is excited to announce the launch of a community health assessment survey. The survey is a crucial component of a larger effort to gather data from various sources, compiling them into a comprehensive document to provide insights into the health status of Madison's residents. Information collected will be utilized by the Board of Health to guide their planning initiatives effectively. Your participation is essential, as the more responses we receive, the better we can tailor our efforts to meet the needs of our community. We encourage all residents to take a few moments to complete the survey. Your input helps shape the future of our health initiatives in our area. Should you have any questions or need assistance with the survey, please don't hesitate to contact the Health Department at health@rosenet.org. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And we move on to communications and petitions.
None received, Mayor.
All right, next item on the agenda is our first of two invitations for public comment. This one is limited to the items on our agenda discussion and resolutions that are part of the consent. If you want to comment on any other topic, that'll happen later in the meeting. So these are the items you can comment on. We will have a presentation on a proposed native plant ordinance, and then we have our 2023 annual Arbors report. And these are the resolutions you may comment on. These will also be part of the consent agenda later in the meeting. Resolution 121 is awarding contract to Square Acre Studio of Madison for professional park planning services. Resolution 122 is approving special permit to allow use of Memorial Park parking lot by the Thursday Morning Club. This is on April 18th. Resolution 123 authorizing a special event permit for parking lot number 1 by Rotary Club of Madison for a public shredding event. That is the Prospect parking lot. Resolution 124 is approving renewal of livery license to Madison Limousine Service for 2024. Resolution 125 is awarding contract Cook Avenue parking lot reconstruction. The amount of $991,315. This was funded through Ordinance 1223 and 1323 and 224. So it is finally becoming reality. And then Resolution 126 is terminating contract with National Metering Services for water meter replacement. So you may comment on those resolutions or the two agenda items. If you wish to comment on any of those, please step forward. As you do, state your name and address, put the same on the clipboard, and try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we give you a 1 minute grace. Seeing none, I close this part of the meeting, and we now move on to our agenda discussions. Claire, Bridget, welcome.
Hi, I'm Claire Whitcomb. I'm chair of the Environmental Commission. Bridget Daly is wearing her lucky oak tree species shirt. And happy birthday, Bob.
Thank you.
I'm sure this is exactly what you wanted for your birthday. So we're happy to supply it. Bridget is the driving force behind this ordinance, and if you have questions, she's going to have to answer them. This native plant ordinance is a message of hope. And if you guys all know Doug Tallamy, he came to the Borough via Zoom and gave a talk to Borough employees to kind of explain how ecosystems work and his message of hope, which is really that if all of us do a little bit in our yards, we can reclaim a lot of habitat that's being lost to development, to chemical usage, and you know, we look out and we see New Jersey being reshaped every day. And this is a screenshot of the Zoom, which is on the Borough's YouTube channel. It's had 880 views, so it's made quite an impact. And one of Tallamy's points is that nature is full of specialized interactions between plants that have grown here and the animals who live here, and that plants from France or China or whatever can't replicate those interactions. And blue jays rely on acorns. So, and blue jays can fly a lot farther than squirrels. So oak trees benefit from blue jays because they can wing farther. So this ordinance only applies to borough property, not private property, and it only applies to future plantings. Nothing needs to be taken out. And it has exemptions for things people love, like rose bushes where Rose City, the seasonal displays on Waverly Place, the hanging baskets, and veterans memorials. Tallamy's point is that nature can't be relegated to parks, and we've all seen that our highest aquifer recharge areas are all forested parks. The Drew Forest, Summerhill Park, and the MRC. And we see Madison facing development pressures. The Drew Forest, I hope, is going to get saved, but it's, in the course of the new Zoom, we asked Doug Tallamy if he would make a statement about the importance of saving the Drew Forest, so this is what he said. And he pointed out that globally we're facing a bird apocalypse, and the reason for the bird apocalypse is insects are declining. And it's a food web that's interconnected. And in Madison, we can see this by the increase in impervious coverage, 400 acres from 2001 to 2016. Thanks to Lisa Jordan's class who compiled all that. And at the same time period, we lost 276 acres of trees, which is a third the size of Lewanika Brook Reservation. So it's really easy to take action by planting native plants. You know, they're beautiful. If you tried to buy from the Great Swamp native plant sale, it's sold out by like maybe 3 p.m. Last year they sold 27,000 plants. Native plants have the advantage of being appropriate to our environment. They're easy to care for. Once they get established, they require less watering, and they birds, bees, and butterflies and moths depend on them. It was super inspiring to go to this. Looks like there's a bear over that guy's head. Is Sean Latourette, the head of the commissioner of the Department of Environmental Protection, and Micah Sherrill introduced her federal native plant bill at the Great Swamp Outdoor Education Center, and it's bipartisan, Democrats, Republicans, and it would require native plants on federal property. So the bill, the ordinance we're proposing is a similar idea, where we would take responsibility for our town and our habitat. And this may be like the next plastic bag initiative because it's kind of catching on. Mendham and Montclair passed ordinances quite recently, and the Chathams are planning theirs. And among the things that native plants do that hostas, ivy, and pachysandra don't, they're host plants that support the caterpillars. Butterflies and moths lay their eggs and on species that their caterpillars can chew. So hostas don't work. Ginkgos have support zero species. And the oak tree, which is Doug Tallamy's favorite example, has 534 species of caterpillars it supports. Honeybees, I didn't know this for a long time. And Melissa, your mother taught me about like chewing, the caterpillars needing to chew leaves. I was on the Environmental Commission, I didn't know that either. Honeybees are imported from Europe. You know, Winnie the Pooh is British. And native bees depend on our specific plants for their nectar and pollen gathering. The milkweed is the poster child for host-plant interaction. Monarchs can only lay their eggs on milkweed. The butterfly bush is a really attractive plant that I personally bought and then had to take out because it seeded itself everywhere. But it is basically we're coming to realize, junk food. So it's an imported plant that distracts pollinators from the plants where they need to lay their eggs. So a lot of this information is just coming out. And one thing about caterpillars is you can't, when a bird tries to feed its young, it has to stuff something down their throat, and it needs something soft and squishy and protein packed. It's really kind of like instant food. And baby birds don't eat seeds, and they need a lot of caterpillars. A single pair of breeding chickadees must find 6,000 to 9,000 caterpillars to rear their young. And I see chickadees in my yard. I've never seen 9,000 caterpillars, so I'm not exactly sure how this works. So why go pass a native plant ordinance? We have a parks project coming up. It's just kind of like good protocol for the town. I mean, we're, and for the department heads. I know there's new plantings coming up at the police department, and Jean inquired about whether they were native. It's inspiration for homeowners, and it sets us up as a leader among municipalities. And if this snowballs, there could be action in Trenton. So this is a really good Doug Talamy quote. Butterflies used to reproduce on native plants that grew in our yards before the plants were bulldozed and replaced with lawn. To have butterflies in our future, we need to replace those lost host plants. No ifs, ands, or buts. If we do not, butterfly populations will continue to decline with every new house that is built. So I'll give a plug for the Clean and Green Fair, which features an EV Expo that Peter is organizing and a native plant sale that the MEC is organizing. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. So, take any questions, but to quick sum up, this is, again, for borough properties, and allows the borough to set the example for our residents to follow on their own properties, but the residents will not be affected directly by this ordinance. Any questions or comments?
Just a question, is this part of a Sustainable Jersey, our application in any way, or is it like a plus for that?
Everything's a plus for that.
Yeah, I figured.
But I don't specifically know in action that it's tying into.
Yeah. Thanks.
So the next steps would be we'll draft the ordinance and would be introduced and move forward. Tom?
I have a comment, Claire, and maybe the borough can just think about if we can implement something like this. One of your statements here from Doug Talamy is about new construction and replacing when we bulldoze and without lawn, but people are going to plant lawns too, so you're not going to get away with that in new homes.
No.
Okay, but I think maybe there could be some information that the construction office can give to some of these home builders and developers saying, here's something to consider and the reasons why. It could be like this, 3 or 4 pages or 5 pages. Because a lot of them are looking at what's bringing in homeowners to attract them to the house, not necessarily appealing to what you're trying to accomplish with us here. And you're talking about a different breed of people who are developers, more or less. So maybe that's something that could help us with some of the new construction, whether it's the multifamily, when we redevelop now the new, what's the place called on Main Street next to Staples?
Madison Mall apartment.
Madison Mall is going to have a lot of planting area, I assume. I don't know what guidance they're going to get from anybody. Maybe they're just going to make it look pretty with, like you said, hostas and some dogwoods or whatever, dogwood trees. So something to think about.
No, that's a very good idea. One of the things the Environmental Commission does is review site plans. So we did review the Madison Mall, but it was some time ago, and things have changed. And
Bridget on the committee then?
well, Bridget was there, but they don't always. The thing is that all we do is recommend.
Sure.
There's no teeth. So Shade Tree looks at all the tree species and asks for natives, and we look at we review the plantings that are on the Starbucks property in the front of the Staples Mall. They took some of our recommendations, some not. I think what we have to do is build up a culture where people can see that native plants are beautiful, and if they see them on our property and they see it starting to be integrated into beautiful settings. I didn't explain, but I showed a picture of a really modern building with plants. That was the Brooklyn Museum. You know, these.
Yeah, Brooklyn Bridge.
Oh no, yeah, that's but that there. So we have like a beautiful plants like pack of views, and we're going to do an eco garden tour in the fall. And Carol Huber has designed like a knockout planting at CVS in Morristown. Like these things are starting to come into our lexicon. Carol Huber is a landscape designer based in Morristown. So it's happening. So, Tom, I'd like to talk to you about any ideas you have about how to bring this before any.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, I feel like site plans are designed by the time they get to the borough, so, you know, I don't know. It's kind of.
As you said, that the borough again will be able to lead by example. So when we redo a park and with natives, we can tell people that are looking to redo their home, go take a walk around this park and see how it looks with the native plants. Also, any applications that go to the planning board go through the George Limbach filter, which he is very good about analyzing the landscape plan, and that's where you can put teeth because they're looking for approvals, and the approvals will often be include native plantings now.
Do they actually have a list that you present to the homeowner when they're redoing the whole front of their home, or
as Claire pointed out, often the plan has been done when they submit it, and so it gets modified as it goes through the hearing process. But that's only one, you know, if it's a project that doesn't need zoning or planning board approval,
yeah,
it's not going to get that review. So creating an education program would go a long ways.
We drafted there's a preliminary environmental checklist
Yeah.
for the kind of plans that Bob is talking about that go to the zoning and planning boards. We drafted a similar checklist, simplified for homeowners, but with Bob Vogel's absence, it's kind of, the engineering department is a little snowed under, but if anyone wanted to partner with us on that idea, we have a draft. And again, these are voluntary things, but it sort of states, like, is your house solar ready? It just states things that could be best practices, and none of them are required. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, ordinance will be forthcoming. And now we'll go to our 2023 annual Arborist report. Rich and Jean.
Over here from the Shade Tree Board. Rich Wallowitz is our arborist. He's going to be presenting the report tonight. It's our annual report of what happened in 2023. Rich has been an arborist for over 40 years. Currently, he's been with Madison for about 4 years, and he supports multiple towns in both Morris County and in Essex County. He also is the executive director of the New Jersey Shade Tree Federation. So with that, Rich.
Thank you, Gene. Thank you, everybody, for having me. You know, after thinking through the week that we've had, or actually not even quite a week, you know, talking about nor'easters, flooding, windstorm, out of power, earthquakes, afterquakes, eclipse one. It's almost bland to talk about trees. So relax, it's going to be a nice presentation. No heavy doom here today. But actually what we have here is a State of the Union, state of the trees, what's going on in Madison, and it's typical of what everything else happening in the state of New Jersey. You know, trees have issues. You know, they are victims of damage caused by insects, by storms, weather extremes, and diseases. These are the nemesis of trees. And again, as invasive insects come in, it wreaks havoc. This is what happened with the ash tree problem that we're having. It's a Asian beetle, emerald ash borer, and it came in, snuck in, and it's wreaked millions of dollars worth of damage. But in most cases, healthy trees have a better survival rate, and that's the key. What we're trying to do with the commission with this town is to keep it healthy. Back in 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago, when the town ordinance was modified to go for a replacement factor based on trees, the replacement number based on the size of the diameter of the trees being removed. It had a positive influence in what we see, what's happened last year. Last year, in private trees, the 337 trees were removed. Those were done via the permit in 2023. There we go. Planting obligations totaled 230 trees, with an additional recommended 164 trees be planted. That's almost like starts breaking it even, maybe a tad above. The most common classifications of why trees are being removed is that because they're dead, they're poor condition, or structurally impaired, either from storm damage or old age or infrastructure problems. If you break this down a little bit more, you have, out of last year, the EAB is the emerald ash borer effect. You have 66 trees being removed, poor and declining 68. Next were dead trees, construction issues, cavities and decay, other issues, storm damage, infrastructure. So you see there's a whole litany of things going against the trees, but there's hope. There is hope. If you break that down into genus categories, this is always, everybody always wants to know what's going on. I said ash trees were a big hit, but this is by genus. So you have maples top over at over 80 trees being removed. That includes the red maples, the silver maples, the Norma maples, and I think that's all we have in this town. Those are the top three. So that coupled together, again, environmental factors. 3 years ago, we had a drought, specifically maples, red, silver, and Norway, shallow-rooted trees. They lost that water source. And it might take a couple of years before they finally succumb, and this is what we see happening. If you, so maples and ashes, followed by the oaks, and cherries, and hemlocks, these were the big hits of species that we lost in town. If you look over the past couple of years with the graph of how many trees were removed, we see that the, you advance it please, there we go. Flip it around, the 21 and 22 number of private tree removals held the same. They bumped up a little bit in 2023, and that we see more so as the influence of the emerald ash borer and a bump up from the ash trees being removed. In terms of public trees, and you might remember this, that's the historic Tuttle oak that you'll see again in a few minutes. That's generation 2, which is commendable to see that you had the foresight of taking care of that tree and taking the acorns and seeding it and get going. So with public trees breaking down, I've noticed a lot of interest in town by people. Call me up, can you look at my tree? Can you do this? What do you think? It's good. It went out there and 8% of the people wanted to talk about their trees. Not too long, so relax, I didn't spend all my time there talking to everybody. A lot of them, not much work was needed or no work was needed, and there was pruning and removals. Unfortunately, again, the town suffered with the loss of the public trees, just like some of the private trees in terms of storm damage, ash trees, and issues like that. And this is the biggest problem we see in the parks going on. We also had another situation coming up that we've noticed with construction. Everyone thinks, oh, you put a padding around a tree trunk and the tree's going to be fine. Well, that doesn't do enough. That's like putting a Band-Aid on or something where you need a tourniquet on to stop the bleed. Protection around the trunk is just a few sandwiches shy of a full picnic. It doesn't quite do enough. You need to incorporate a bigger fence, a bigger tree line, like a picture over here, where they protected the tree for access to it. But you also have to remember the tree itself, what's underneath the ground. And I've been in so many construction sites where, well, there's the tree, there's the fence around it, I'll park my dumpster there, I'll put my dump truck over there, I'll put my tools over here, and you're compacting the soil. Yeah, you're not going to see it immediately, but you're going to have an issue in a year or two's time. It's going to catch up to you. So in terms of construction activities, 46 trees had to be removed last year. These are major construction, not the little addition to a house. That required 80 tree replacements. That's a good move. We're getting there. But the really neat thing is they have one contractor who actually was digging up the quality trees in this one site, moving them over, fixing the house, or rebuilding it, and then he's going to plant them right back. Win-win. You can't get any better than that. So the word is getting out. People are going bonkers about that because they're realizing it stays in-house here. So where do we go from here? Well, I think we need to work on a better tree protection system, especially during construction, which is what I alluded to before. Maybe incorporate a method to help trees healthy, help keep the trees healthy. I like the zone pruning approach, which basically incorporates taking a section of town and trimming everything. Maybe trimming everything on the streets that are going to be paved this year so they don't get damaged by the milling machine. More efficient, more cost effective, and we've done this in other towns. We don't have limbs falling down and have to call out a crew on emergency overtime. So there's a benefit to that. And in the course of 5 or 6 years, you're going to have gone through the entire town systematically and get a lot of good stuff done. I think we need to follow up on new tree plantings, elevating the low limbs. We're doing an awful lot of effort in planting, and it's looking good and starting to look good, but now it's time to go through with snippers and start clipping them up and elevating the trees so nothing happens. And the biggest thing, keep planting. That whole adage, when's the best time to plant the tree? 20 years ago. That's what happens here. So we got to keep doing it and keep it up. So, questions? And I said ash trees, it's almost like the bane of our resistance now, but this is like the biggest ash tree in Madison, I think maybe even in the state. And it's still alive, it's being treated. So there's hope. And there's hope for a lot of trees in town. We just keep it up. I could go into that if you want to, but I don't want to put anyone to sleep, so thank you.
Just one question. I noticed, we had both beautiful presentations. I noticed there were a lot of oaks that were removed. I mean, that was the third largest, so that's pretty painful for our natives.
It is. There were some issues with oak trees. One, we're getting influx of some issues happening with beech bacterial leaf scorch and oak wilt. They haven't found that specifically in town, but there's been a lot of dead branches starting to die back in this town and neighboring towns also. But Rutgers hasn't confirmed it yet. It's a species that likes a lot of space, and we have them imprisoned on roads and sidewalks and whatnot. And they've gone through a lot like everything else. I'm not downplaying it, saying it's natural, but we're keeping an eye on as to what's going on.
So is this year's extensive rain better, worse, or not an effect on our trees and our health of the trees and canopy?
It's not going to hurt.
Okay.
Trouble is if you get too much at one time and it runs off, that hurts. So if we could turn that faucet down a little bit and stretch it out, it'd be better, but we don't have that authority yet.
We haven't had a lot of trees topple over because of the soft earth from that extensive 2-3 day rains.
Not that I'm aware of, and Gene wanted me to check every tree after the earthquake, but we were okay.
Okay.
But
See
no,
you in a month.
Nancy, seriously, no.
Okay,
Didn't see.
good. That's lucky. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you, Gene. Great report. All right, we now move on to ordinances of hearing. Will the clerk please read the statement?
The ordinance scheduled for hearing was introduced by title and passed on the first reading at the regular meeting of the council held on March the 25th, 2024, was posted and filed according to law, and copies were made available to the general public requesting same.
I call up ordinance 11-2024 for its second reading and ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title.
Calendar year 2024 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank.
Mayor, I move ordinance.
Whoop, not so fast.
Sorry.
I open the hearing on ordinance 11. Anyone wishing to comment, please step forward. Seeing none, I close the hearing.
How about now? I move ordinance 11-2024.
Second. Council discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harlan-Pudis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
I declare ordinance 11-2024 adopted and finally passed, and ask the clerk to publish notice thereof in the newspaper and file the ordinance in accordance with the law. And now we're on to a second invitation for public comment. This is when you may comment on any topic. Same guidelines are in effect, where we ask you to try to keep your comments to 3 minutes, but we give you a 1 minute grace period. Please step forward. Welcome, Judy.
I'm Judy Kroll, 27 Laurel Way, and I'm here representing Friends of Drew Forest. We like to show up and encourage everyone to continue their support for preserving the beautiful forests that we all know and love and are working very hard to get to a conservation sale. So I want to again thank the mayor and council for all of their efforts. I wanted to just talk briefly about some of the native plants that are in the forest, thanks to the restoration efforts that began in 2008 with deer fencing and removal of many invasive plants. The forest now boasts a huge wildlife garden, so if anyone is interested in taking a look at what native plants can look like in their natural setting, beginning now and into the spring and the rest of the summer season, there'll be lots and lots of things blooming. Among the many plants that were planted there since the restoration started are 30 species of shrubs, 88 species of wildflowers, 26 species of trees, and another 19 wildflower species returned on their own. So once the deer were kept at bay and the invasive species were removed, these plants just came back. So it's really a testament to nature and the beauty of the forest. So if you're interested in starting a native, small native garden in your own yard, take a look through the Drew Forest over the season. You'll see some beautiful examples of what you can plant there. And I just wanted to say one other comment. I really enjoyed the presentation that Claire and Bridget did for the upcoming ordinance. And I just wanted to make a comment about bees, because I think bees are a little bit confusing. We hear that honeybees are safe and there's lots of them, and that's a great story, and it makes a lot of news. But honeybees are also managed by humans for agricultural pollination. But native bees are what we're talking about when we talk about pollinators that are really important to the food web more generally. Certain wild bees are the only ones that can pollinate some of our agricultural crops, but certainly also a lot of the native plants that the birds and the caterpillars use. But wild bees pollinate crops like tomatoes, peppers, and nightshade plants, which cannot be pollinated by honeybees. So if we lose our wild bees, we're going to have a serious problem. So I just wanted to point that out, because when we talk about bees in terms of native plantings and gardens, that we're really talking about not the managed bees that are doing okay, but rather the wild ones that we also need. very much in our ecosystem. So Friends of Forest is coming up to our 3rd anniversary. That's happening next month, and I think we'll probably be bringing you kind of some highlights of our 3 years at that time. I won't take any more of your time this evening, but thank you again for all of your work with the forest.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for your work. Anyone else wishing to comment, please step forward.
Daly, 28 Keith Street. I just wanted to share a really interesting fact that I recently learned from watching a presentation by Doug Tallamy, who was mentioned recently, is that oak trees have a 600-year lifespan, 200 years of growth, 200 years of stasis, and then 200 years of decline. So I think it's just important for us to think about the fact that decline is part of a natural process in the life of trees, and assuming that a tree isn't in a location where it's going to, injure someone, we should really carefully consider if the tree is in decline, does it really need to be fully cut down? During that decline process, it serves as home and food for birds like woodpeckers, who, as it's decaying, there's insects in there, the woodpeckers eat the insects, they make homes in them, as do other creatures and birds. And then even when the tree is dead, it contributes to the ecosystem as it breaks down and enriches the soil and builds soil. So just something to consider, because I wasn't aware of that previously, so I wanted to share that.
Thank you very much. Love that we keep learning things, new things every day. Claire?
I'm going to just speak on a separate topic.
Say your name again.
Oh, Claire Whitcomb, 12 Fairwood Road. I just wanted to point out that both Judy and I went to a memorial last Saturday for Karen Elefante, who was a legendary music choir and teacher at Madison High School. I'm going to tear up. But she cast my son in K&I when he was 6, and in 6th grade. And he was a little boy, sings with a little happy tune. And the high school kids would roll down their windows and yell, "Hey, kid!" So he was in every show she did in middle school, in high school, and she planned the senior musical around him. And she changed my kids' lives. She was amazing in jazz choir. And she died of stage 4 breast cancer, left behind a 12-year-old who was also Dorothy in the Florham Park Middle School, the Elefantes live in middle school. Joe Elefante runs a music school in New Providence, and my son studied jazz with him. I think that Madison is an incredibly rich town for its music program, and Mrs. Elefante just unbelievable.
Thank you for sharing that.
Hi, I'm Lana Teradash. I live at 6 Harwood Drive. On March 21st, I was a victim of an automobile accident as I was driving to get my daughter at the high school around 2 p.m. on going down Central. And I noticed some movement from my left, and I saw a car who made no effort to stop at the stop sign on Cook. She was driving a Volvo SUV, and I have a Buick Enclave, and both of our cars were totaled. Luckily, I veered off a little bit and was able to pretty much come out of it unscathed, as was she. Aside from a little bit of whiplash, I did go to the hospital and get x-rays. But I've always been concerned about this intersection, especially if you are coming from Cook Avenue. You have, at any time, 2 cars parked right there. The stop sign is set back quite a distance, and it's just 50-50 if you're going to make it through. In fact, I was grateful to see Ed Nunn. He was one of the first people on the scene, which was quite a relief. Many of the other first responders said, this is a terrible intersection, and many of them commented the same thing. About a year ago, I witnessed the exact same accident that I was in. I was behind a Jeep Wrangler that almost went through flies and honey. I travel this countless times a day, whether to MRC, to the high school. My kids walk from the middle school into town constantly, and I shudder to think if there had been pedestrians there, or if anybody, and either vehicle was hurt. Of course, neither of us had any passengers. When I asked her why she didn't stop, she told me that she yielded and that she had car insurance. So, you know, it's a highly trafficked area with pedestrians. Obviously, I posted on Madison area parents anonymously because I know people have a lot to say about these things. Just simply tell what happened and get people's thoughts. And an overwhelming amount of people responded. Worst intersection, oh my gosh, I saw this, I was on a bike, I got thrown off the bike, I used to work on that corner, there was an accident every month. I mean, so many people. And I know there's a lot of questionable intersections in every town, but, you know, with Central Avenue School there, with the farmers market coming, with baseball, softball games, I mean, it's constantly busy, and I know we have a traffic light right on Main Street, so I don't know what the solution is, but, you know, be it some traffic calming measure, you know, a raised sidewalk that a pedestrian can cross out on grade with the sidewalk, a flashing light, I don't know, you know, something like that, but I just wanted to share this because I have not met one person who has not responded with, I avoid that at all costs. I think of I don't know what the state of the proposed apartments going there are. I have read that parking will not be provided. I just can only imagine the influx of cars, frustrated drivers not able to find parking, circling, you know, and getting frustrated and, you know, just ignoring these stop signs altogether. So, and I'm more than eager to help in whatever way I can. So, thank you.
Thank you. And as far as your experience, this certainly has been a intersection that's studied quite a bit. Our Complete Streets Committee will be meeting next week, I believe it is. And so we'll make sure that this is discussed some more. As you said, the solution's not easy because you already have a traffic light another block away, but certainly we'll take a look at what can be done. I walk that intersection at least twice a day as I do my commute, so.
Ross Snyder, 12 Pomeroy. Anna's family is a close friend of my family, so when she went through this, about half a second after she described where it was like, oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. 2 days after that, I had to go to the pet store, and my choices from my side of town are either sit in Main Street traffic, don't want to do that, I guess I'll just deal with that intersection to get to the Cook Street parking lot. It was raining, it was a gray, cloudy day, full park, all the parking spaces at that intersection were taken as I was on Cook, trying to cross Central, trying to get to the parking lot. And on top of it, I think because it was raining, somebody had double parked right here. I couldn't see anything. I inched, and by the time I could tell if I could go or not, I'm already in the intersection. So thankfully, nobody was coming, but like it felt so terribly poetic that like 2 days after this, I'm like, yeah, all it would take is somebody zipping down Central right now, and I'm toast. My kids are now the age where the most fun thing they can do is grab their friends and walk around town. And this intersection is like my nightmare. I'm just, you know, oh, kids are out, having fun, whatever. Oh, one was crossing, you know, when something happened there. I just, as we talk about like getting more density downtown, which I know we're getting with the building replacing the movie theater, which I think is going to happen with those buildings right behind the pharmacy there. We want pedestrians. We want people frequenting our downtown. We have this amazing downtown. Yes, come walk around, go to the shops. Oh, don't go half block that way. That's a rough intersection. You know, it just really strikes me that this is one of those things where until something terrible happens, we kind of keep just rolling along, and then something terrible happens, and we all look at each other and we say, yeah, we knew that was going to happen eventually. Like, let's not let it get to that. Like, if it's my kid or somebody's kid, I mean, it's just, we could do something here. And I know Central is a state road, I know that changes things. If we have to go talk at the Morris County version of this meeting, you know, I think that's totally, like Lana said, let's do that, but we've got to do something here. Thanks.
Thank you, Ross. Anyone else wishing to comment? I did, 2 weeks, a week and a half ago, attended the Avenues in Motion, formerly TransOptions annual transit forum, and full disclosure, I am on their board, and certainly they were talking about things that towns can do to make things safer. Certainly not to compare us with Hoboken, but Hoboken is a great story right now, and the fact that it's become, if not certainly the safest city in the state, if not one of the safest cities in the country as far as pedestrians. And it is, you know, some of the things they did came at a cost, such as pushing parking back from intersections, which means you lose parking. But as you pointed out, this is about safety and well-being, so we need to look at everything. Central Avenue is a county road. One of the things I did mention at the forum is one of my passions, and if you want to go to commissioner's meeting, is I think it's time for the county to adopt a complete streets policy, which is complete streets is to look at a street not just for moving cars from point A to point B, but pedestrians, bicyclists, and full activity. And the county does not have a complete streets program, so anything that happens really will come from Madison working with the county. So we'll take this back to the Complete Streets Committee, and we can get back to you as far as any recommendations that come out or what the next steps are, and we can make it safer. Because this has been, you know, it's not news to us to hear the worry and your terrible experiences at that intersection. It is a challenge. So thank you. And with that, we will move on to introduction of ordinances. Clerk, please read the statement.
The ordinance scheduled for first reading has a hearing date set for April the 22nd, 2024, will be published in the Madison Eagle, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the public requesting copies.
I call ordinance 12-2024 for first reading. I ask the clerk to read said ordinance by title.
Ordinance of the Borough of Madison amending Chapter 166, Section 35 of the Borough Code entitled Streets and Sidewalks regarding determination of hazardous conditions.
Mayor, I move ordinance 12-2024.
Second.
Council discussion? This is cleaning up an existing ordinance. Right now, the process goes through the Borough Council, which really doesn't make sense and kind of drags things out. So this will streamline the process for dealing with hazardous sidewalks, which is certainly part of complete streets. Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Lapudis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Okay, we move on to consent agenda resolutions. Will the clerk please read the statement?
Consent agenda resolutions will be enacted with a single motion. Any resolution requiring expenditure is supported by a certification of availability of funds. Any resolution requiring discussion will be removed from the consent agenda. All resolutions will be reflected in full in the minutes.
Mayor, I move the consent agenda resolutions 121-1 through 126-2020.
Second.
Any council discussion or any need to be pulled?
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Resolution 125, 2024, I'm glad to see that we are moving forward with the Cook Avenue project. Timeline? What do you think, Jim?
Right. Well, the goal is to do as much during the summer months as possible, minimizing. So we hope to be, I think, underway by mid-June. It is a phased project, so half the parking lot will be in operation at one time. We also negotiated with for the merchants to use the parking lot behind 14 Main Street, the old YMCA building, so that'll relieve some of the pressures. So I think that's where we are. And I think what we'll also do is work through engineering, and when we have the contractor on duty is on board, is having a pre-construction meeting with the property owners in the back there to go through the whole process, because I also compare projects like this to doing your kitchen or bathroom at home. It's going to be painful, but if you manage it, you make it the best possible way. So that's what we'll do.
Well thought out. Thanks, Mayor.
Any further discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Lamboutis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
There is no unfinished business. Approval of vouchers. Will the clerk please read the voucher totals?
From the current fund, $153,697.95. From the general capital fund, $216,566.81. From the electric operating fund, $80,895.90. From the water operating fund, $9,373.48. From the water capital fund, $126,890.40. And from the trust, $64,714.69. The total is $652,139.23.
Mayor, I move approval of the vouchers.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Range?
Yes.
Mr. Harold Lamboutis?
Yes.
Ms. Honahan?
Yes.
Mr. Forte?
Yes.
Motion for adjournment.
Mayor, I move to adjourn the meeting.
All in favor?